Hey, welcome to Throwing Shade. I know I've been off for a couple of days, but I wanted to get back in it with an issue that is somewhat universal. You know, it's been said that football is life, and I don't think we realize enough how it permeates all avenues of society. Now, I'm going to use DeShaun Watson. I'm probably going to be using him as part of a genesis or nexus of an argument for the next couple of shades. Because, first of all, you know, DeShaun gives us a look at the inequity in the NFL. When Green Bay Packers' Aaron Rodgers refused to show up to camp, the response from management with the Packers was very measured, even some would say somewhat tepid. But because they weren't aggressive and because they weren't aggressively engaging, they were able to resolve that. And I would argue that is the difference in how owners in the NFL look at quarterbacks, African American quarterbacks compared to white quarterbacks in the league. Now that's just my position, but if you look at the details that surround it, I think you can see where that could be true. So DeShaun Watson, I would confess, is in a bit of trouble. But here's the thing. In the movie Gladiators, if you remember, the character Juba was speaking with Russell Crowe's character Gladiator, and he tells him that before they destroy you, they have to destroy your name. The same is still true. And if ever there was a demonstration of the gladiator mentality, it's the NFL. So anyone who doesn't believe that the Texans had a hand in trying to destroy and soften up DeShaun Watson, hoping it would give them an avenue where they could nullify his contract, is just patently naive. There's millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars on the table, and I just don't think it's beneath the Texas organization to do that. But be that as it may, as they're trying to destroy the name so that they can get to the man, it has had some reverberations throughout football that go beyond DeShaun Watson. And even getting back to him, the other day it was reported that they had him playing defense. Again, anything they can do, either for him to be injured or for his reputation to be damaged so that they can nullify this contract. You know, I just don't put it past them. But here's the thing. Every day that DeShaun Watson is in training camp and every day this extends is actually a win for him. Each and every day. It's costing the Texans. His costs are essentially fixed. And so every day that he is still viable as a tradable commodity is a win for him. The flip side of that coin, though, is that every day is a loss for the Texans in the NFL. There was a word used to describe the practice for the Texans after Tyrod Taylor was injured or hurt or was on COVID-19, and the rest of the bevy of quarterbacks they had in the quarterback room, they said it was disastrous. Here's how that translates to the nation, though. So the COVID-19 epidemic, the pandemic that is sweeping through the country, is also effective in the NFL. Now, a few years ago, Volkswagen, it was discovered that they were doing some compromise and they were cheating on their emissions test. The damage to the brand, to the name, and the cost of the lawsuits were astronomical. That's a business idea, just so you can grasp the concept. Every NFL player is essentially a commodity. They are a centerpiece of a business model. If that centerpiece is damaged, the cost of that organization can be astronomical, and it can damage and compromise a team's opportunities to go to the Super Bowl for years, which is exactly where the Texans find themselves. The reason that's important is when the NFL started discussing its policy on COVID, I guarantee that they were looking at the damage to the Houston Texans of losing their centerpiece, their primary piece of real estate, their primary commodity in DeShaun Watson. It is going to impact that organization for years to come. whereas they were at one time right on the cusp of being in the Super Bowl. It's a long shot, and that is putting it nicely. So what we've done is football has essentially become life. The need for vaccines to be in the arms of people in the country is critical if we're going to get a handle on the pandemic. The NFL takes the strongest men, the gladiators of our society, and tells them this is something that they have to do. Now, granted, it is motivated purely by income, because if you lose the centerpiece of your business for a risk that is manageable, the pandemic is a manageable risk. If you lose the centerpiece of a football team because you neglected to invoke a manageable risk like injections, like vaccines, that's just bad business. So the Texans debacle has translated to the NFL making policy that may actually save the nation. It may save thousands, even hundreds of thousands of lives for the people in the areas that are unvaccinated. Alabama, Texas, Tennessee, where there are major football programs and major football teams where these men now, whether they are voluntarily or not, become an example of what needs to be done to keep the community, the business model secure, and that part of the country safe. They are leading the charge. The foundation, I would argue, of this COVID policy, you don't look at it any further than the commentary on the Vikings quarterback play last week. Disastrous was one of the terms they threw out, because Kellen Mond, the starting quarterback, and everybody in the quarterback room were all in COVID protocol. They had to go out into the street to find quarterbacks to fill up the room. It's a manageable risk. The NFL is laying the groundwork, giving us the foundation of how we can attack and control and manage the risk of the pandemic. Football is life. Who knew? But what do I know? I'm just throwing shade. Thanks for being with me today. Look forward to talking to you later on this week.